Before I say anything else, I want you to hit me with your soul, not just your ears. There comes a moment in your life when loud talk doesn't fix things, when retorting, striking out, and validating yourself only wears you out more. Some of you are weary of trying to keep pace, weary of trying to gain notice, weary of trying to persuade people who were never meant to support you. But let me tell you something. You don't have to pursue what God already has your name on. You don't have to yell for attention. When you're blessed, you draw things in. Oh, I sense this already. Because when you finally choose to concentrate on yourself, to recover quietly, to expand privately, and to proceed by faith, not by sight, then everything that's intended for you will start making its way to you. So I came to tell someone today, this next phase of your life will not be noisy. It won't be about proving things. It'll be about placement. You're not stuck. You're not forgotten. You're not missed. You're just being improved in silence. And when the time is right, oh my God, God's going to do it so simply, it'll look easy. So wait quietly. Stay ready, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to guide you through how to stop struggling and start connecting. I can converse with you today. You see, friends, one of the most dangerous things we do to ourselves is we mix up public sight with worth. We think if people can't spot us, if they don't praise us, if they're not discussing us, then maybe we're not achieving enough. But I came to tell you today, some of the most mighty work God will ever do in your life will happen in silence. You've been planted, not covered up, therefore, the bright light. Because if your foundations aren't deep, your success won't last. Let me say it like this. Moving up without getting ready is risky. And some of you are asking God to take you higher, but you haven't let him take you further down. You want the stage, but you won't stay in the ground. You want to be noticed, but you won't let yourself be formed. But in this time, God is calling you back to the dirt, to the place where it's just you and him. No titles, no pretenses, no things that take your mind away, just you, the broken parts of you, and the hand of a caring God shaping you in silence. You don't need applause right now. You need connection. You don't need being recognized. You need insight. You don't need a group following you. You need to be completed. And hear me when I say this. When the foundations are solid, with the success will come without effort. You won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. You won't have to try hard to stay relevant. You'll be so rooted in who you are in him that everything he has for you will pass through you. People will say, where did they appear from? But they won't know you were developing in the dark. You were praying when nobody was clapping. You were healing while you kept working. You were focusing on yourself in silence while the world passed by. And when the time is right, you'll flourish. Not to show off, but to show God, to show his might, his trustworthiness, his honor working through your following his lead. So don't look down on the quiet periods. That's not where you're ending. That's where you're being made better. Stay in the ground. Let me tell you something. What you pay attention to is what you give power to. And some of you all have been made different. When something is covered up, it's dead. When something is planted, it's meant to grow. And I know it feels dark right now. I know it feels like no one sees the advancement you're making. But just because it's not on social media, just because it's not loud, doesn't mean it's not genuine. God does his finest work in the ground, in the unseen areas. A seed doesn't need an audience to become a tree, doesn't need approval to grow foundations, and neither do you. See, the problem is we want the success without the struggle. We want the platform without the steps. We want the honor without going through the hard work. But you can't skip the period of silence and expect to be firm when the difficult time comes. I'm talking to somebody right now who's been wondering why it feels so quiet, why your phone's not ringing, why the openings haven't been made, why the chance you've been praying for hasn't come yet. But what if God isn't punishing you? What if he's keeping you safe? What if this silence is the sacred place where he's making your foundation stronger? Because before God puts you in front of people, he will first put you in front of yourself to deal with your worries, to heal what they never saw, to prepare you for the weight of the good thing you're about to carry. You think you're waiting on it, but it's really waiting on you to be prepared. It's easy to act for the world. It's easy to be loud and impressive. But it takes bravery to be still and focused. It takes maturity to grow in private, to read the scripture when no one's watching, to call out to God when nobody knows you're battling sadness. Quietness is strength. Upset giving power to fear, giving power to not feeling secure because your focus has been in the wrong place. You're focused on who didn't call you back, who didn't support you, who left, what didn't succeed, and who seems to be doing better than you. But the truth is you're too powerful to keep giving your attention to things that drain your soul. There's a reason the foe keeps throwing things that take your mind away at you, because focus is spiritual. Focus is not just mental, it's faith and action. When you focus on what God gave you, not what He gave them, that's a statement of trust. When you stop looking at social media, stop comparing, and start building what God put in your hands, that's called faith. Because faith doesn't always yell. Sometimes faith just quietly says, I'm staying here until it grows. Sometimes faith says, stop trying to impress and start trying to follow God's lead. You stop pursuing success and start searching for importance. You stop asking for attention and start asking for blessing. You were never made to go after fame. You were made to go after purpose. And purpose can't be made fast. It takes time. It takes cutting away. It takes patience. That's why the foe keeps trying to distract you. That's why everything seems louder when you're trying to grow, because he knows if you ever get concentrated, if you ever stop looking from side to side and start looking up, if you ever put all your power into what God told you to do, then nothing and no one will be able to stop you. And I need to tell somebody, the slowness in your life, it's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're not skilled. It's because your focus has been spread out, going to work this area until the result comes. Faith is saying, even if I don't see results today, I'm still going to show up tomorrow. But that takes focus. And the truth is, you can't focus when you're hooked on noise. Some of you are losing your happiness trying to keep pace with people who don't even know who they are. You're worn out trying to match someone else's schedule, someone else's speed, someone else's look. When you realize that God's assignment on your life is made just for you, you stop trying to copy people who weren't built like you. You have to learn how to focus without needing to be powered by approval from outside. You've got to be able to say, I don't need likes to stay committed. I don't need praise to stay on purpose. I don't need a crowd to be devoted. Because when you're truly focused, your view, some of the clearness you've been asking for, this is missing. It's just hidden behind distraction. And the peace you've been wanting, that quietness that your soul's been longing for, that's not going to come from people clapping. That's going to come when you quiet the world and look closely with God. I'm telling you, what you focus on, you become. If you focus on being offended, you become bitter. If you focus on fear, you become worried. But if you focus on purpose, on calling, on peace, on growth, you begin to step into what you were born to be. So choose today, not next week, not when they agree, not when it's easy. Choose now to focus ahead. And if you do, you won't have to force what's yours. It'll come naturally. Let me tell you something that might just free you. You don't have to answer to you're trying to fix everybody else. You're concerned about who's talking about you. You're watching their race and tripping in yours. But in this period, God is calling you to make your view smaller. Stop the noise. Remove the comparisons. Stop the self-doubt and focus on your next action. Because when you start focusing on yourself, on your development, on your recovery, on your self-control, on your mindset, on your journey with God, you stop just surviving and start doing well. You stop noticing what matters. You stop wasting time on talks that don't help you grow. You stop explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. You begin to change. And when you change your focus, you change your life. Some of the openings you've been praying for are locked. They're just not visible until you change. That is, you don't have to explain yourself to everybody. You don't have to prove your worth to people who were never qualified to judge your value in the first place. Silence, my friend, is not weakness. Silence is a plan. Silence is strength. And when you really know who you are, when you know who's supporting you, when you know the blessing that's on your life, you don't need to argue. You know that you don't need to clear up every misunderstanding. You can just stand still and let the Lord fight for you. See, the reason some people feel so drained out, so tired in their soul, it's because you've been swinging at illusions. You've been defending your name, explaining your moves, chasing approval from people who already decided about you. But I came to tell you, you don't owe everybody an explanation. When God is raising you up, He doesn't always send an announcement. Sometimes He sends silence and waits to see if you trust Him enough to not reply. There are some battles you win by shutting your mouth. There are some successes that don't come by what you say, but by what you don't say. You ever notice that when Jesus stood before Pilate, he didn't defend himself? He had all power in his hands. He could have called for angels. He could have spoken up. He could have explained every step, but he stayed silent. Why? Because he knew his mission was bigger than their views. He knew purpose didn't need permission. He knew power didn't need to shout. Sometimes when you're really living in your calling, you've got to let your results do the talking. You've got to let your success speak for you. You've got to let your peace say what your words can't. I'm talking to some people today who've been feeling the pressure to defend your moves, to explain your silence, to prove your faithfulness. But this is your reminder. Not every fire needs your fuel. Some things will die off if you just stop talking to them. Some battles will end if you stop feeding the conflict. And some people will disappear if you stop trying to prove them wrong. Let me help you understand this. Silence isn't doing nothing. Silence is done with a reason. Silence is a choice to keep safe your peace, to save your power, and to stay connected with your purpose. Silence says, I don't need to be understood to be effective. I don't need to be seen to be successful. I don't need to be loud to be powerful, because when you really hold something valuable, you don't shout about it. A diamond doesn't have to yell to be worth a lot. Gold doesn't scream to be respected. And a calling doesn't need a commercial. It just moves and everything around it shifts. The foe wants to pull you out of position by getting you to fight battles that don't matter. He wants to waste your time with arguments. He wants to tire you out with rumors. He wants to tire you out with rumors. He wants to distract you with noise. So stop letting your feelings write promises your soul can't fulfill. Stop letting your ego talk you out of your peace. And stop allowing every critic to pull you into their disorder. Stay silent, stay focused, stay faithful. Let them talk, let them question, let them misunderstand. Because while they're watching to see what you'll say, God's preparing to show them what He'll do. There comes a moment in your life when you understand that not everybody deserves don't sow back. And it's not that you're weak, it's that you haven't set the limit between sympathy and hurting yourself to help others. Let me tell you, God did not make you to be available to everybody all the time. Even Jesus stepped away. Even Jesus walked away from the crowd. Even Jesus said, my moment has not yet come. Some of you are exhausted because you've made yourself accessible to people who only come to take and never come to grow. They come with needs, but not with aim. They come with requests, but not with being responsible. And if you're not careful, you will spend your entire life dealing with other people's mess, while your purpose sits ignored in the background. You've got to keep safe your space. You've got to guard your door, because everything that has entry to you has power over you. And not all power is good entry to you, not because you're better than anybody, not because you think you're too good, but because you finally found your worth. You finally come into the realization that your peace is too costly to be constantly disturbed. Your power is too special to be scattered. Your heart is too valuable to be handled without care. And when you reach that point of knowing, you stop trying to sit at every gathering and you start building the one God called you to make ready. See, the truth is, some of us are tired, not because we're doing too much, but because we're giving too much of ourselves to people who don't give back. You're pouring into people who only take. You're appearing for people who wouldn't appear for you. You're putting in your time, your knowledge, your faithfulness, your love into places that you've started focusing on yourself, growing in silence, staying connected, watching what you feed your spirit. They don't recognize you anymore, and that's okay. You're not forced to stay small to make them comfortable. You're not required to keep entry open to people who use it wrongly. If they can't handle your healing, they're not meant for your future. If they can't respect your limits, they're not ready for your present. And if they only appear when they need something, that's not a true link, that's a trade. You need people around you who give to you, not just need you. People who see your worth when you're not producing. People who check on your soul, not just your status. People will celebrate your growth, even if it means they don't get as much of your time as they used to, because your time is some influence pulls your attention away. Some influence slows things down. Some influence will make you doubt what God already confirmed. You can't heal in a bad group. You can't grow in an environment that's made to keep you small. You can't step into your next while you're still pulling along people who refuse to move ahead. And here's the hard part. Some of the people you love the most are the ones you'll have to make the most space from, Doesn't mean it means you're making something. It doesn't mean you're closing down. It means you're changing what's most important. It doesn't mean you're being unkind. It means you're finally being careful with your soul. Because there are people who love the version of you that was always ready to help, always giving, always saying yes, always forgetting about yourself to meet their needs. But now steal your preparation time. You'll step out too soon, speak too fast, move before God, and end up unhappy with a good thing that wasn't ready. Or worse, you weren't ready to carry it. Some things can't be hurried. You can't quickly make character. You can't speed up wisdom. You can't go fast through healing. There's some lessons you can only learn by waiting well. See, there's a difference between waiting and waiting well. Waiting well means you're not wasting the wait. Waiting well means you're building while you're trusting. Waiting well means you're believing even when nothing looks like it's changing. And I get it. Silence can be frightening when you've been praying and it seems like God's not answering. When you've been showing up but nothing's changing. When doors don't open, when chances pass you by, when talking about who you give your time to because your purpose is too important to be slowed down by distractions. Not everybody can go with you. Not everybody will understand you. And that's fine because God will always assign the right people to your next part. So close the doors that need to be closed. Protect the space that's powering your purpose and stop saying sorry for keeping safe your peace. Sometimes we get so caught up in when it's going to happen, we forget to trust that it will. We sit there trying to figure out the timing, trying to check the progress, asking ourselves over and over, why has it taken so long? But I need you to hear me. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Slowness is not saying no, and if you're not careful, you'll let not having patience ruin it. Special. Your space is special. Your mind is special. And when you start protecting those things, you'll notice the weight begin to go away. You'll stop feeling bad for saying no. You'll stop saying sorry for putting your peace first. You'll stop getting smaller just to have peace with people who are bothered by your light. Listen to me. In this next time, God is not just blessing you with more. He's teaching you to handle what you already have. And part of that handling is knowing who gets to be close, knowing who gets your power, knowing who gets a place at your table. Because if you don't decide that, life will decide for you. And you'll end up surrounded by voices that talk loud but add no value. This is the time to be intentional. Doing things with a reason about your relationships. Doing things with a reason about your talks. Reason. You come out stronger, wiser, deeper, and more focused. And that's the kind of person God can trust. Not the one who just wants to be seen, but the one who's been tested. The one who's been through fire and didn't fall. The one who didn't give up in the waiting period. See, some people want the platform without the hardship. They want the visibility without the discipline. But the truth is, God often hides greatness until it's strong enough to be shown. He'll keep you back on purpose, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. He's not punishing you, he's protecting you. Because what's removed the noise coming to you is bigger than you think. And if you're going to carry it, you've got to be rooted deep. I know you've been faithful. I know you've been quiet. I know you've been working hard in the shadows. And I came to tell you, it feels like everyone else is moving and you're stuck in place. It's easy to start thinking maybe God forgot you. Maybe you missed your chance. Maybe you're behind. But let me speak directly to that false idea. You are not late. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are going through a process. And the process is what prepares you for the promise. God is not just trying to give you something. He's trying to make you into someone who can carry it. Because if you get it before you're ready, the weight of the good thing will crush you. You'll handle wrongly what you are called to manage. You'll waste what you were born to build. But when you've been developed in the dark, when you've cried and still showed up, when you've worked and seen no reward, when you've loved and not been loved back, when you've followed the lead without understanding, you're not being missed. You're being watched. Heaven sees you. God sees you. And he's not just watching your work. He's watching your heart. Are you still modest when no one claps? Are you still following the lead when no one sees? Are you still thankful when nothing changed? Because when God sees you're faithful in silence, he'll bless you in public. You don't have to chase chances. You don't have to beg for space. You don't have to force your way into what's already yours. What's meant for you will not miss you. But you've got to be patient enough to let it happen. You've got to be focused enough to keep working in the silence. You've got to be grown up enough to realize that growth takes time. So keep praying when nothing changes. Keep building when no one's watching. Keep loving even if you're still healing. Keep preparing even if the door hasn't opened yet. Because when the moment comes, and it will come, it's going to happen suddenly all at once. What took years in private will burst out in public, and people will improve in private ask, where did they appear from? They won't know about the tears, the loneliness, the night you wondered if it was even worth it. But you'll know. You'll know that while they were watching everything else, you were getting ready. So wait well, stay planted, stay steady, and trust that everything that's yours is already on the way. One of the most powerful things you can realize you can ever come into is this. You don't have to force what's already yours. When your spirit is connected, when your heart is clean, when your goals are rooted in truth and your steps are ordered, things will start coming within. When you stop comparing and start developing, when you stop rushing and start believing, life begins to happen in a way that feels natural, not forced. And that's when you know you're in your flow. You're not forcing connections anymore. You're not begging for space anymore. You're not worried about results anymore. You've found your speed. You've found your path. And now the world has to adjust to the peace you've chosen. It's a powerful place to be. When you stop struggling and start giving up control. When you stop being so ready to help everything and start being intentional about where your power goes. When you stop trying to chase the life you want and start becoming the person who draws that life. You don't have to fight for what's meant for you. You don't have to beg for what's already connected with your that. What if I told you that when you stay in position, what you need will find you in the right place at the right time, in the right period. God doesn't bless heavy breathing, He blesses connection. And when your spirit is connected, you don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to prove to be seen. You don't have to fight for what's already yours. Kindness flows where there's arrangement to yours. Kindness flows where there's arrangement. Favor finds those who are, and peace surrounds those who are planted. Now let me be clear. I'm not talking about being lazy. And I'm not talking about sitting back and doing nothing. I'm talking about the kind of stillness that comes from inner certainty, the kind of quiet focus that says I don't have to impress anybody. I just have to stay in my path and do what I was made to do.